Good morning and welcome to Lord of Life. Today is Maundy Thursday, April 1st, 2021, and we're glad you're joining us this morning for this daily devotion. Maundy Thursday is the day when we get the new commandment from Jesus. A new commandment I give you, that you love one another, even as I have loved you. You also should love one another. Those are the words that Jesus offers to his closest followers in the upper room at the Last Supper. They're the words that give us the name Maundy. We get it from the Latin mandatum, or commandment. This commandment from Jesus, the command to love God and neighbor, was nothing new for the disciples, and yet it's completely new. It's a commandment that is interpreted by what Jesus is about to do. Maundy Thursday through Easter Sunday are the three holiest days in the Christian year. They are the days that we follow Jesus into the upper room and to the cross, and where we ultimately celebrate the resurrection. In the Last Supper, Jesus not only gives us this new commandment, but he lives it, he enacts it. He takes the cup and says, "This cup is the new covenant in my blood." Jeremiah envisioned God making a new covenant with God's people. The old covenant did not succeed because Israel, as we are all prone to, failed to walk in the way of the covenant. And so the mark of the new covenant, Jeremiah says, is going to be this: I will put my law within them, and I will write it upon their hearts, and I will be their God, and they will be my people. And no longer will each one teach his neighbor and teach his brother, saying, "Know the Lord," for they will all know me, from the least to the greatest, says the Lord. And I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more. Those are what these 3 days are all about. There's a wonderful story that I ran across years ago. It's about a Dutch pastor during World War II. He and his family were in big trouble with the Nazis because they were caught hiding Jews to protect them from Hitler's forces. And they were eventually found out, and one night in the darkness came the sound of heavy boots and a loud, impatient knocking at the door, and they were seized and put into a cattle car. They knew that they were being taken to one of the notorious death camps. All night long, they rode in heartbreaking anguish, jostling against one another and the other prisoners in the car. Any form of dignity had been taken from them before they were loaded onto the car, and they knew they would be taken to one of Hitler's extermination centers. The question was, which one? Auschwitz, Buchenwald, Dachau. And finally, the long night ended, and the train stopped, and the doors of the cattle car were thrown open, and light streamed in to the tragic scene. They went out and lined up next to the railroad tracks, resigned to their unspeakable fate. They knew they would be separated and ultimately killed. But in the midst of their gloom, they discovered something. Good news beyond belief. They discovered in the bright morning sunlight that they were not in a death camp in Germany at all, but in Switzerland. During the night, someone, through personal courage and daring, had tripped a switch and sent the train to Switzerland and to freedom. And those now who came to them were not their captors, but their liberators. Instead of being marched to death, they were welcomed to new life. These 3 days are a bit like that for the Christian. We follow Jesus to the cross. We follow Jesus to what is presumed to be certain death. Jesus on Easter does something. He gives us the gift of eternity, the gift of eternal life. I want to invite you to join us in worship this evening at 7 p.m. online, tomorrow evening, Good Friday at 7 p.m., also online, and then to celebrate the resurrection on Saturday afternoon, in person and online, at 4:15 for our contemporary Easter service, and Sunday morning, Easter Sunday at 10:45, online only for our traditional Easter service. I want to thank you for joining us this morning, and I invite you to join us each morning at 11:30 for a daily devotion.